So you want to make melodic techno like Afterlife, but don't want it to sound boring. Well, today I'm going to show you 4 concepts that are going to enhance your production so they truly do stand out and get the attention of the people that you're after, whether there's labels, DJs, or fans. And to do that, I'm going to break down my recent track, Poseidon, which is recently released, which does all of these things. Let's dive into it. Okay, my friends, here is the project file. And the first thing that I want to show you is that less is more. So what I mean by this is that if you take a look at this track in the core drop section, if we break it down into how many elements there are, there's really not that many. There's drums, bass, there's a lead melody, and there's a supporting pad. And that's basically it. There are 4 elements. That's all you need. And yes, there are effects and background things, but like in terms of core components, that's it. You got your drums and bass. Yes, the bass is comprised of 2 layers. There's a rolling bass and then there's like a growl. But essentially what this is doing is following a chord progression. And you have some automation which opens up the cutoff. And this is used to create tension and a flow with our track, right? But then you also have this like supporting pad sound, which is basically not even really there most of the time. Very, very subtle. Becomes more present towards the end of the bars, but it's very, very quiet in the mix compared to everything, right? And then, yeah, you got background effects, but you have the main lead, which sounds like this. So throw it all together. You get this. Even though there are only 4 elements in this mix, the track is not boring, and it's because we've gone the extra mile to make this interesting. Now, there's a lot of concepts that we do, but essentially we're developing an idea. So our main idea, our main hook is this melody, which really is all rhythm, essentially, following the flow of the chord progression. So every bar, the note changes, but the summation of them and the rhythm is what makes this catchy. You have a call and response, so take a listen. That's the call. Response. Call. Response. So that's the core idea, right? But if you break it down, not a whole lot really going on. It's just a couple of notes and some re-triggered 30-second notes. And really, the key to like this Afterlife sound is those 30-second ratchety sounds. This section, there's a variation. Take a listen. You've got the drums coming in, track's developing. Same as before. But then the variations at the end here. There's also some pitch bending on the note, so when it jumps up quite far, there's a particularly here, you'll hear. That's what makes it interesting. It's just like a core idea that then gets developed. This is just testament. You don't need that many elements to make something interesting. Less is more. And this then leads into the second point. So the next thing I want to show you is advanced harmony layering with your lead. So if we play this section here, take a listen. Then now you have a second voice coming in and it's playing essentially that same melodic rhythm and almost the same pattern, but we've added in a harmony. Now, this harmony, I will concede, this did take quite some time to get right, but essentially what we did was we started off with thirds. So there are some differences later on. But then we moved the second voice up by 3 degrees to create this third harmony, or they're thirds apart. To start with, that second voice is based around the third of the first voice. Now, you might notice that actually the gaps change, and this isn't necessarily a melodic masterclass here, my friends, but you can see it moves out in different directions, and then the harmony is going to change. This is called contrary motion, so as one part goes up, one part goes down. That tends to sound pretty cool in a lot of cases. So if you take a listen just in the isolation, It might add more tension and then it might resolve. This is a key thing in melodic writing, especially when you're using harmonies, tension and resolution. But then it's not quite the same each time, and sometimes we have actually changed the original melody, moved it up and down in places, and then it just does the same thing again. It's slightly different. Different harmonies, different choices. And actually here we doubled it up, so there's up and down an octave to make it sound a lot thicker. But listen in context, right? Nothing else in the mix other than drums, lead, bass, and that pad, which is a supporting element. Right? It's quite an advanced thing. Takes some time to get right. So expressive. This is done in many other genres, by the way. Where I actually got this was from Iron Maiden, who are a metal band, one of my favorite metal bands. Still going to this day. They popularized guitar harmonies, particularly a third apart. So I thought, well, if they did it on guitars, it sound great on synths. And the answer, yes, it does. Now, later in the track, during the second drop after the break, we start off with the second voice already in. But then we add in a third voice later on. So now we have three voices, and we're trying to have them moving in different directions. So you can see it's like in terms of where parts are positioned, they might be closer together, then they move further apart, then come back closer together. And this third voice, the high voice, is based around the root note. In this case is E flat. So just take a listen to how this section sounds. Again, 4 elements in the mix. And we just rinse and repeat that idea. So essentially what you can see is we started off with just one melodic idea, and then we've added a variation the second time around, and then we've added, basically just duplicated it and added another voice, then have that same variation with the additional voice. Then later on in the track, you start off with a 2-voice part, and then you have the 3-voice part. Now this is quite complex, but it unfolds really nice over time in the context of the track, and it doesn't get boring. And we're literally using 4 elements in the mix, right? Less is more, but if you are going to use less, you have to be very intentional and thoughtful over how to keep things interesting. Using things such as this, harmonic layering, or you could use lots of automation, or ideally both things. Another concept here is like this track actually has 3 sections. So there's the A section, which is the drop here, which you've already heard. That's like the A idea. Then we have a B section, which is a closely related idea, but actually slightly different, where we change the chord progression and have a different melodic idea. This is going into the break. Same lead sound. And then got that pitch bending. A bit more of a simple idea here. And again, it's just a few elements in the mix, but we actually add in this high counterpluck, just basically playing a similar idea, and it comes in later. But we do that same concept, take this idea, duplicate it, add in a melodic harmony. Second layer comes in. You can hear the pluck part now. I like this descending pattern here. Little release of tension here, right? That's the B section, but then we go into the C section, which is a related but different idea. So we actually bring in a lot of new sounds. We have like a bunch of pads. Like this is all the same pad, but they're playing counterpoint harmony. We've done a video on counterpoint harmony if you want to check that out. Now, this is, again, further to developing ideas, right? So this is like the basic raw form, where it's just going, and then it's like sort of following this melodic pattern and chord progression. And in the next 8 bars, we add in a few additional notes, and that spices it up. And then in the final section, we get another voice. So yeah, we're essentially just taking the idea of less is more and develop your ideas like crazy over and over again. But take a listen to how this all unfolds over time. Listen to how much tension this creates, right? Context. Very sparse compared to the drop previously. Big release of tension here, so now we need to build it back up. Additional notes coming in. There. And there. More notes. More notes. And listen to how this extra layer comes in. So much tension and epicness. Right, you're expecting the drop here, and then it doesn't come. There's a fake drop. So, yeah, that's probably one of the craziest breakdowns we've ever written, in the sense of, like, how much thought it went into programming that using fewer elements. And, yeah, everything's being automated, all the filters are being opened and whatnot, but, like, a lot of people don't actually do any of the automation. So if I show you that, like, you know, all the filters are opening up and stuff like that, yeah, that's just standard stuff. But we've also created lots of, like, melodic and musical tension just by things developing, adding in new layers, and then this same part here. Now this is all on the same instrument as well, so it's like you're just developing a core concept on the same instrument, which I think is an underrated tool that most people don't really do, because we've just created so much tension and epicness that people are like, holy shit, like this drop's going to be emphatic, but then we don't give them that drop. So then if we don't do that, we have a fake drop, we need to build up more tension. So that's what we do. So going into this fake drop and build, you have this. Arpeggiator rate. And that part's really cool, where there's so much tension and then you release it with like a very dry drum fill. That's going to make that drop hit really, really hard. Yeah, there's a lot more going on under the surface than you might feel when listening to it. Like, people would probably listen and think like that must have so many elements and layers and whatnot, but actually no, it's pretty much just 4 elements in the mix most of the time: drums, bass, lead, and that pad, and then yes, effects. Sure, but that's basically it. Like, I hope this video has shown you that you don't need a lot of elements in the mix to create something interesting. It's more difficult to do, but it pays off. This was actually very easy to mix because there's not that much stuff going on. There's not that much elements that are clashing. The elements are there, they're sat in the right register, they all work together well, and yeah, it kind of worked out quite nicely. If you want to go check out the track, link is in the description of this video. It would really help me out. Go listen to it start to finish and you'll see how it unfolds over time and takes you on a journey. And something that's actually really interesting with this, guys, is we actually recorded pretty much the entire process of making this track, so you can watch in real time as myself and Tim, TJ Lawson, we made this track live in our Accelerator community, which is a cool community where every week myself and Tim, we will do live studio sessions, both independently and also together sometimes. So you can watch us work on music, such as this exact song, live. Everything is recorded, so you can go literally watch us make this in real time and all the techniques and our rationale and thinking behind it. But we do that every week, and tracks that we make eventually get released and put on Spotify or on top labels. I've had tracks that we've made during this session, which we've released on Sekora, on Purified. If you want to check that out, we do track feedback sessions every week. You can submit your music and a team will listen to it. We'll give you fully in-depth, critical, professional feedback to tell you what to do. And we do weekly trainings, and you'll be part of a community of like-minded people who are all trying to win and do the same thing. It's super accessible price-wise. If you want to check it out, the link is in the description. We do have a cap on members, so go check it out, and we're running a little special offer. That's our track Poseidon, a melodic techno Afterlife style club banger. This one works really well in the club. I played it in the clubs all around London and internationally as well. really does pop off. So yeah, go check it out. Link is in the description. Go check out our accelerator community. Link is also in the description. If you want to work one-on-one with me, DM us X22 on Instagram at Marksman's Producer Academy. We can have a chat about making it happen. I'll respond personally and we can figure out what the best plan is for you if there's a good fit. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.